I was one day sitting in Chick-fil-A and I'm watching this dad and he's interacting with his daughter and she's about 4 and she's doing that thing where she's running to the playground and she's running back, popping in a chicken nugget, running back, just like loving her life. It's the best thing in the world. She's barefoot, her little feet like slapping on the tile. She comes from behind me and every time I know she's coming because her little feet are just, smacking the tile. And she comes up to dad and then there's one point in every 4-year-old's day at Chick-fil-A that is the worst. And it's time to go home. And he's like, hey, sweetie, we got to go. And she starts to kind of go into a little bit of meltdown mode. And but dad, and all these catastrophic things start coming out of her mouth that are not true at all. And she says, we're never going to come back. And dad, you're being so mean. And those are two of the things amongst many things that she says. And dad, what he does is instead of grabbing her by the hand and ripping her out the door and say, well, we got to go. Stop being crazy. Stop being so ridiculous. Which, by the way, sometimes we do that to ourselves. Gosh, why am I believing this again? Why am I acting this way? I'm so ridiculous. I'm so stupid. I can't believe I'm not confident. Like, why do I always? And you just shame, shame, shame. That's the equivalent of taking your inner child and ripping her out the door and not giving her some work to help her trust you. But dad, he gave us a cool example. He leans over to her and he just first gets on her level and he goes, oh, sweetie, you feel like we're never going to come back. And you feel like dad's being so mean. I'm so sorry. That must feel really scary. And of course you're feeling upset. He doesn't correct her and he doesn't agree with her either. He just validates the experience so that she can start to come online and see that dad is a trusting person, right? The inner child work. We're going to parallel this with ourselves. Maybe it's that, you're waiting for your partner to text you back and you're feeling this anxiety come up in you, right? And you start getting these fearful beliefs. They don't want to hear from me during their day. They don't like me. They don't care about our relationship. I'm too much or I'm not enough, however you want to say it. And so that's like the fearful voice of the little inner child. That's the dad, we're never going to come back and you're being so mean, right? Not necessarily true, but it's what's going on. So turning to yourself looks like noticing maybe the place in your body where you feel the fear. You even can close your eyes. You can even speak out loud if you're in a position where you can do it. And you say to your little self, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry you feel this way. I get why you do, right? Maybe even reflect on the experiences that you had as a child. Our dad wasn't very responsive when you needed that help sometimes. Or you didn't have a voice, you were the youngest one and you just got kind of lost in the mix. Of course you feel this way, little me, right? You're just speaking with that love. You're not correcting anybody at this point. And second move, dad moves on to move number 2. So the first one, we could call it like reflect and validate. Move number 2 is that he's gained some trust because, as he's saying this, she's given him the little yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, of course, dad. And she's kind of recognizing dad's getting it. Then he gets some permission from her. She says, sweetie, can I tell you some things that might be important for you to think about right now? Or can I tell you some things that might help you feel better? And she's kind of agreeing with it because dad's already shown her that he's trustworthy, as you have shown your inner child that you're trustworthy. And he says, this is where he reveals truth to her. And he tells her, well, sweetie, we're definitely coming back. We always come back because remember your cousin's soccer games? We do a soccer game, we always come back. It's our spot and it's fun. And guess what? He's got one next week. And so we're for sure coming back then. And she starts to kind of realize, oh yeah, okay. She's coming online with dad. And he goes, and you know what? Dad knows that you don't want to sleep here. You love the red chairs, but they're not comfy. You got that princess bed waiting for you at home and mom's waiting for you at home. Don't you want both of those? And she's like, oh yeah, I do. So dad's not being mean. He's trying to help you. So she starts trusting dad. She starts realizing like, oh yeah, dad's on my team. I'm good. And then by the time he gets to that point, he can invite her to do something different. And so there's kind of stage 3. So stage 1 is recognize and validate. Stage 2 is where he reveals truth. And by this point, she's a lot of trust in him. And then when he makes the invitation to act differently, she's cool with it. She's like, all right, let's go. She grabs his hand, walks out the door. She forgets about Chick-fil-A. She's good. She knows she's okay. She's safe. And she hops in the car and goes home willingly. No kick, no screaming. And I mean, sure, you could take this same framework and use it as a parent, but that's a separate conversation. I want you to envision using it for yourself, right? Let's go back to the triggering situation. I don't get the text back, making all that meaning. You're validating yourself. And then you review truth, right? Wait a second. My partner's always been there for me. You know he loves you. Maybe he just shows up in a different way. You know he's probably busy. He's had a lot of stress. He's going to show up differently. That doesn't mean that you're unlovable. Or maybe you even give other truths that are bigger, more existential, right? Hey, even if he's upset with you, even if, he's ignoring you on purpose, well, guess what? that doesn't mean that you're not lovable. That doesn't mean that you're less valuable or that you're not going to be okay. There's so many ways to find peace outside of that. And then the last step is giving yourself a new, instead of overthinking it, checking your phone all day, or maybe getting after your partner with some harsh criticism, you do things that are good for you. You turn to prayer or serving people or just getting busy in the things you want to do that day. And so that's kind of a little bit of a framework that you can use. And through that experience, what you do is every time you do that, you create emotional experiences of self love, self compassion, self trust, hope. And that on repeat helps you reprogram the anxious attachment style towards being secure, where eventually you don't get the text back, you're fine. You're like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm good. I'm going to keep doing my day. I'm not anxious. I'll see them when I see them.